Hi y'all, I'm Ed from Johnson Outdoors, and today I am going to be installing an 87-inch Quest Instinct motor on an older CV. I'm gonna unbox this, see what's in here, and we're gonna get going. So diving in, comes with your remote, lanyard for the remote, the Ethernet cable. We include the adapter if you're running a Helix. If not, it'll plug right into your Solex or Apex. We have our stabilizer bracket. All long shaft motors are gonna come with that. Of course, our prop. Quick start guide is included. Makes setup a snap. Super intuitive, super easy. Installation instructions. These are very helpful. A handy item that's included is a little cheat sheet for your remote. It's waterproof. Just a couple things I want to mention. Some accessories that you're going to need that aren't included in the box. You're going to need a plug. I recommend the MKR28. This is a Minn Kota plug. Super heavy duty, accepts up to 1 gauge wire on the receptacle end. Comes with a 5-year warranty. Easy to wire in. The other thing that you need to have is a circuit breaker. This is a Minn Kota 60 amp circuit breaker, and it breaks at 60 amps, so it's very exact. So 2 items I want to mention that were not included in the box. Before we jump in, I'm going to go over the tools needed. Number 3, Phillips screwdriver, drill motor, 3H drill bit, an awl or something to make some marks, 9/16, open box end wrench, 9/16 socket, and a second person to help get this motor on here. All right, so we have a multitude of brackets to look at. One of our quick release brackets here. This bracket's slide it back, slide it out. If you want to remove it from your boat, lifts right off. Again, goes back on, locks into place. We have our deck reinforcing bracket here. This has a variety of holes, and we recommend you get at least 6 through bolted. This is our quick release bracket. Once this puck is installed on your boat, pull the pin, lifts right off. All that's remaining on your boat is this. Goes back on, pin slides in, locks in place. The boat behind me, you can kind of see how dramatic the drop of the bow is. And it not only drops down, but it pitches out. So it was a bit of a complicated fabrication to get the bracket correct on this boat. Master Repair in Stuart, Florida, created this bracket for me. It's custom built for this application to address what I just talked about, the various angles on the nose of that boat. We're gonna go with this bracket, and we're gonna go with a quick release bracket mounted to it. So essentially, this is gonna get mounted to the boat. We're gonna share a few of these holes through bolted through the deck of the boat. I think we're getting about 7 bolts in it, so it's gonna be really secure. This is a beefy bracket. This is 3/4 inch aluminum. It's all powder coated. It's gonna stay really nice in the salt water. When I remove it, that's all that's going to be left on the deck of my boat. It's gonna be a nice clean setup. So I'm just gonna put a few bolts in here to mount the center part of my quick release bracket to the Master Repair bracket. Then we're gonna get it up here and line everything up. Be sure, anytime you're putting the stainless on stainless, you're using the anti-seize that's included. We just got these on here, not fully tightened down, but just enough to get up here, help us get our lineup. So let's get this bracket up on the bow of the boat, get everything lined up. I think this is going to be close, but what I want to do is I want to put the other side of the quick release onto the motor and get that up here where we can really see what we're working with. This is pretty close to where I think it's going to line up. I'm going to put the other side of the quick release bracket on the motor at this point. So I want to take off the side plates, have my number 3 Phillips. Side plates are off. This bracket goes one way. It has to sit down onto the puck to receive it. If you flip it over, the way to tell is these countersunk holes go down. There we go. These are the bolts provided with the quick release bracket. It's a 3/16 Allen. Included washer goes on the bottom. There's no washer needed on the top. But again, we're gonna make sure we use our anti-seize and all this stainless stuff going on here. I'm gonna get a couple started to keep everything lined up nice. We have everything snugged up. Right now we're gonna go back and we're gonna torque this to spec, which is 120 inch-pounds. Everything's torqued down. I have my side plates back on. This is a good time to show you a little tip here. This notch in the bracket needs to be exposed. That's gonna help you line everything up on the rub rail, and we're gonna jump up there and do that next. But this can be, and I've seen this happen, orientated incorrectly, where this is actually covered. We're gonna get up on the bow of the boat, get our lineups, and start drilling some holes. The measurements are critical so that this motor has enough room to deploy. We want this notch to be clear, which we have plenty of room here. And we're gonna want 1.5 inch clearance between the steering motor and the rub rail. Looks like we have plenty of clearance here. The next measurement I wanna look at is the head position in relation to the side of the boat. I don't want it sticking way over, or I might clip it on a piling or dock when I come in. So we're gonna set that inboard a little. I think we're very close, so I'm gonna get up here a little bit higher where I can see. And if I like it, I'm gonna run some tape along our bracket and then remove it, get it all lined up and drill some holes. Finished drilling all the holes. I'm gonna pull this bracket off, clean everything up, pull the tape, silicone those holes, and then we're gonna drop some bolts in here and get rolling. Anytime we're drilling holes on these fiberglass boats, we wanna seal this up to keep the water out. There's either gonna be a foam board or wood in here, and we don't want the water to get in there, do any damage, so. One thing that's included are these backing bars. Really helps reinforce this bracket to the deck. So displaces the load of the pull of the force. Every bolt's gonna have a backing bar on it. All the lock nuts are provided. We're gonna make sure we use our anti-seize on everything. And we're gonna get this securely bolted on. It's kind of going nice and easy with it. Everything has anti-seize on it. So we're gonna run them down. And then I'll come back and finish the tightening sequence by hand, just so I can feel what's happening there. This was a big step, so I'm excited. This bracket looks great. I'm gonna grab the motor, throw it up here, and keep moving forward. Every motor out of the box is one boat network ready if it's GPS enabled. I wanna take full advantage of that on this rig. The problem is this motor has to be linked to my Hummingbirds. This is an older center console boat. It was really never designed to have a trolling motor on the front. So I'm gonna run the shielded cable at the motor, and this shield just kind of protects it when it deploys and stows, makes it a little bit more durable. And then I'm gonna use a extension cable to make the rest of the run from the back of the boat to the front. This is the AES ECX30E. This is a 30-foot extension cable. But I'm gonna run the shielded cable to my extension all the way to my 5-port switch in the console. Then I'll have full control of my motor from my Hummingbird units in the console. I really like the extra protection this gives you, and it's super slick, so it slides nice and free on this cable. There's a little notch here on this plug. There's a corresponding notch on the male side here, so we want to make sure these line up. These pins are small, fragile. Don't want to force anything here at this point. You just want to kind of make sure everything's lined up. They recommend we put a tie wrap on the second coil, keep everything in place. Just snug to hold it. Again, I'm going under gunnel, so I'm gonna run from front to back. Okay, so there's 3 connections coming out of your motor, basically. You have your power cable, you have your Ethernet, and then we have a port here that's actually for a foot pedal. We're not gonna use that on this application, so it has a sealed cap, stays waterproof, keep that tight. When you do wanna use your foot pedal, it'll be in good shape, ready to go. This is the MKR28. This is the plug we're gonna go with. The connections are different on the receptacle side versus the plug side. This is the cap that's included. If your motor's off and you're not using it, this screws in, it stays completely watertight. All right. Let's get these back. So everything's included that you're gonna need, even a little Allen key to tighten down these screws on your fittings. If you tried to slide this over without the included ferrules, it would kind of just, fray out those wires. So because it's stranded, we want to add a ferrule to it. Included is a couple different sizes for your application. So you want to get the one that's the snuggest fit going over top of it. The lip side of the ferrule goes in. I'm going to slide our heat shrink on at this point. I'm gonna do my heat shrink on this first, just because the negative's out of the way. It's gonna give me plenty of room to heat shrink this. We recommend a heat gun. Any heat source will do. Some important things, I usually try to feel it out to make sure I have about the same amount of heat shrink on either end of my fitting. And I start in the center and work my way out. And I just keep moving, keep that heat source moving around. And I'm just gonna work it right to the end. This is in a saltwater environment, so we want to make sure we keep all of that out of there. We're just going to repeat on our negative side here. Depending on how far of a run you have, you're going to want to make sure you use the right gauge wires. In the manual, we have a wire gauge and conductor chart to help you figure that out. One thing I want to mention, you have to make sure you have a 60 amp breaker. This is the Minn Kota breaker, and it's designed to break exactly at 60 amps. I'm going to go kick this on. Make sure I have 36 volts, and we'll get this thing powered up and show you the next step. Okay, we're gonna throw the prop on. All your hardware comes included. That's the orientation when you get ready to slide your prop on. You kind of do a little wiggling, you'll feel it drop in. Then it's good to go with a washer and lock nut. 9/16. We're not gonna get crazy here. We're just gonna get this on good and snug. Prop on. Okay, so we're gonna add the stabilizer kit. It's important to have this, especially in this application. This boat spends a lot of time offshore, rough conditions. It's really gonna secure everything and keep your motor from bouncing around. This is completely removable. One thing to note, certain applications, it only removes one way. So you don't want to put it up against a lip or a rail where you can't remove it. The base slides in, but it only slides out that way. This boat, no issue at all. I've located it kind of out towards the end here. When you're not using it, you pull the pin, it lays flat on the deck. So you kind of want to be thinking of that too when you're laying this out. There's an included template on the box. I've cut that out. I'm gonna lay it on my mark. If you were using the number 8 panhead screws that are included, you're gonna wanna use a 9/64 drill bit. I've bumped up my size because I'm gonna through bolt this, so I need this to pass completely through. 9/64 is what you're gonna wanna use if you're using the number 8 screws in. So we have our holes drilled for the base of our stabilizer kit. And again, anytime we're drilling into fiberglass, we wanna make sure we seal it. I'm just gonna snug down all 4 of these now. Now we can do our little test fit here, stabilizer, lock it in, pull your strap over. Good to go. That's really gonna hold that thing securely when I'm running in rough conditions. When I get ready to fish, pull the pin, lays down on the deck. Okay, so let's power this up. We have the LEDs lit, our status is good. I heard the audible tone. I have the quick start guide. This is included in the box, and it's gonna walk you through the initial setup. It's super easy. I've downloaded the One Boat Network app on my phone. That's gonna work in conjunction with our startup guide. The first thing I need to do is go to my Bluetooth settings on my phone, and I'm gonna pair this motor. Go to settings, opening Bluetooth. On the head, there's a pair button. I'm gonna push it, it's gonna be a steady tone. When we get our audible beeps, we know we've paired. It's already recognized the motor. There's our tone. We're going to perform the keel offset now. Go to motor, settings. I'm going to scroll right down to setup and calibration. You have two items here. You have stow orientation and keel mount offset. We're going to do keel mount offset first. Before I do that, I want to recommend that you make sure you have enough slack in your Ethernet cable here. This is going to come all the way up and then deploy, so you don't want to stretch this thing out. Now that I've deployed my motor, I'm going to go ahead and align the head of the motor with the keel of my boat. And again, this is critical when you're using features like jog mode, drift mode. So I want to make sure it knows exactly where the center line of the boat is. So I'm going to eyeball this. We should be center line on the keel. At this point, I'm going into settings. Again, scrolling down to setup and calibration, keel mount offset. It's got it. We're good to go. Now we're going to stow it and set our lower unit park location. Basically what that means, we're going to tell it what side we want the prop to face when the motor is stowed. What that'll do is either keep a little bit more head pointed outward or inward, depending on how you mounted it. Every motor comes with a left-hand prop park position. So I'm going to go ahead and stow. Okay, we've stowed it, and now that I'm looking at it, I think I like the park left with the prop out. The head is tucked inside the gunnel. Yep, coming up to a dock or a piling, that's nice, it's protected, it's not intruding too far into the boat, so I'm pretty comfortable with the way it is. If you decide to change your park location, it's very easy. It can be done with the One Boat Network app or your remote control. Just want to show you a couple things real quick on your Minn Kota remote. It comes with 4 One Boat Network buttons. 1, 2, 3, and this is your 4th one up here where your thumb is. If you press and hold any of these buttons, it'll instantly pop up and tell you what each one is set for. It's fully customizable, so if you want to change this, you can go into the menu and select exactly what you want each button to do. If you press a button, it'll activate exactly what it's pre-programmed for. All right, our install is complete. I'm excited to get out on the water and try it. The only thing left to do is to go online and register it. This motor comes with a 2-year warranty with a 3rd year available upon registration. To do that, you're going to need your serial number, which is located on the left part of your inside bracket. We breathed some new life into this old girl. This is the first auto stow and deploy motor on the market in this longer shaft, 87 and 100-inch available. I really hope this install video helps you. If you have any more questions, go online, johnsonoutdoors.com, or visit your local dealer.